Hello, welcome to today's live. And wow, it is another packed podcast energy forecast. And this one is really going to help you with some of the things that are going on. I feel definitely in the cogs of a great space of transition. I'm feeling super tired. I've got this reoccurring cold that keeps coming back. The big same message for me to just take a little bit more rest, and I still don't listen. So I want you to feel what your energy is like before we go on to the rest of this call. And just speaking to me about, you can put it in the chat. I can't always see the live comments, but I do look at them all after, and if there's any questions I will answer them. But how do you feel right now? Like, share how you're feeling. Have you got good energy? Do you feel tired? Are you hungry? Are your dreams crazy? Like, what's going on for you right now? So yeah, I feel pretty run down. I feel that I need to give myself some more nurturing and caring for, and a bit more time out. I'm at a really hectic transition in my life at the moment. But the reason I'm asking this is because I'm actually just in the middle, before I come on to this, writing a piece on my website, on my blog, about the Persephone transition. I work with many women, and we work a lot with different themes, and are definitely a lot with different myths. And I've just taught Persephone in the field of my womb alchemy work, and also within the book A Goddess in Every Woman. And I've done a lot of teaching around Persephone. And what we're at now is the cusp of the spring equinox. That's happened, and what happens, that is a relational field that teaches us as women that Persephone gets initiated out of the dark land, out of the underworld, into the upper world. And that's an initiation. That is a deep initiation. And you'll see in my blog, I'll publish it this afternoon, that there's this space where the initiation doesn't happen unless certain things are realized. So part of my initiation is realizing that I am not an unstoppable machine, that I need to mother myself. That's the Demeter element of the story. What's the mother showing me? What does my Hades? What does my Hermes? What does all that show me? They're all elements of myself. So this is one of the things. And if you read that blog, you will kind of make some parallels about what you need to take the initiation out of the underworld fully into spring, fully into the upper world. So I wanted to start there because it's super important. As I get my notes up, because I had to write so much today, I want you to really think about this threshold week as we're coming up out of the underworld. What has felt like a really foggy place is beginning to turn to fire, because we're entering that Aries energy, and confusion will go from this kind of foggy place to clarity. I've had some clarity today. Some of you might have had some clarity. And from your drifting state to making some firm decisions. So more is happening this week than ordinary weeks. And you're being asked really to feel honestly, like to be honest with yourself, to see clearly and make some conscious choices. So this is a week where patterns are going to become really visible, your patterns, and the courage that it's going to take you to make changes out of those patterns. So let's start off with that foggy, dreaming, dissolving pattern world that we're seeing in the Pisces field. So the strong Pisces energy at the beginning of this week, like today, last night. This is kind of, for me, it was a lot in last week as well, just this feeling of deeper intuition. My intuition was really speaking loudly to me. It actually was being louder than my head, thank God, at some points. And that my dreams were very telling. I had a succession of 3 crazy dreams night after night that I had analysed with an analyst, and really truly they've given me some really deep information about what's going on and what I need to do. We will find that the dreams are trying to resolve our psyche, but they're also trying to give us deep symbols on how to move forward. And I wonder how much work all of you, I think I'm going to do a course on this, a 7-week course for women that really want to get into their dreams and learn how to extract the symbolism and deal with those patterns that are coming up, because they really do help. And they're better than any guide, any teacher, any tarot card. They come direct from your unconscious. I think it's the best way to work with this unconscious material. So you're going to be able to feel that these dreams hold deep keys for you, and that might make you emotional. Let me know in the chat if you've had a dream recently that's kind of affected you emotionally, and what that's trying to do is open your psyche, is open you into knowledge that you didn't know before. So there might be weird dreams, mental drifting, you might have had emotional overwhelm, coping mechanisms, those little addictions coming up that you do, and disassociation, a feeling of not really being here. And it's not weakness, that behavior. It's that, I've told you last week, that's the psyche when it's trying to dissolve itself. It can be as trying to escape, it's going into numbness, it disappears, or it overmerges with other people. So I spoke about a bit about that last week. So we've got this energy of Rahu. The Rahu is not, it's not a physical planet. It's the north node of the moon, and Rahu and Mercury are kind of touching. And Rahu as a symbol is really, really important. The Rahu is the snake head, is the serpent head. And I will put some links into the story of Rahu under this live, because Rahu is the symbolism of the snake head, and the energy of the snake head is about always consuming, always taking in, nobody to digest or ground, and hunger without satisfaction. And these symbols, if you've been hungry and not feeling satisfied, if you're not feeling that you're able to digest or ground in your body, you're always taking in information, you're always doing the spiritual work, but nothing is actually changing. This is definitely Rahu energy. So Rahu is really representing for all of us how we amplify things, our obsessions with things, illusions rather than truth, being distracted, particularly by external narratives, fascination and fantasy, distortion, and where we get pulled out of ourselves. Rahu is actually the opposite of that deep intuition. It's more of the thinking field. So Rahu magnifies whatever it touches. So obsession, distraction, all of those things really are about the mind, the thinking, the communication, all of that goes on up here, which is amplified by Rahu and distorts it. So I know for me, the Rahu energy has been showing up as overthinking. I'm really overthinking, over analyzing things, mental spirals. You're going over the same thing again and again. There may be obsession with something or information, especially information, confusion. You're questioning everything. You're feeling and giving mixed signals, and you're believing exaggerated narratives. Now, Rahu is definitely in our world in the media. There is exaggerated narratives. There are specific narratives that are out there to get your mind either not thinking, distorting, distracting, or over amplifying and over giving energy to it. Rahu is also about the just not knowing what is true, and there's a lot of that out there, especially for you awakened lot, especially for you spiritual lot. You are beginning to not believe, thank God, the rhetoric of the government or the narrative on Trump, on whoever. Like, it's just all a big narrative that is full of Rahu energy. And the collective angle on Rahu is that the collective noise has got huge. The media noise is taking over. Rahu is creating distractions, especially a circus performance. Are you the monkeys clapping at the circus performance that's going on? Are you allowing your energy to get pulled into it? Are you pulled into narratives that you're being told rather than feeling into your intuition? This is super important for Rahu. And Rahu is not acting alone in this. It's a bigger activational field. All of that noise is going to get louder until you as a person stop getting hoodwinked by this illusionary field that's trying to do things with your mind. So yeah, this kind of mind place is going to drive you insane, and it's stopping you using your intuition. So Pisces already rules dreams, illusions, spirituality, dissolution, imagination. And I think Rahu has come on the back of that really to show us where your fantasy is, where your emotional overwhelm is happening, your escapism also not facing, and the confusion between intuition and illusion. So can you see beyond the illusions? The easiest way to see beyond any illusion is using your intuition. So I want to ask you to not, or Rahu rather, is asking you to not believe that everything you hear is true, not to believe that everything you think is true, and that not everything you feel is clear yet. So it's asking for discernment, body wisdom, slowing down, reducing noise, and trusting your intuition more than mental panic. Most people don't realize that they're mostly driven by the thinking. They're listening to rhetorics, they're watching it, and that's what's driving them. They haven't disconnected, taken a big deep breath in and said, what is my intuition telling me about this situation? Go there and see what answers you get. Rahu doesn't lie. Rahu is more about exaggerating. And so this week, try to not believe everything you see and to be very discerning and trying to use your intuition. That is not just about the media world, but literally in your life, around people, etc. So that's the Rahu energy. And the next part that is really important is the Aries ingress and the equinox. Like I said, we're on this threshold. It's like Persephone's come up. She's taken the initiation to come up, but she's still got to make sure that she doesn't come up in those same patterns. This is tender feet that we're in. We're having to do this with more discernment and more understanding of the balance between light and dark, should we say. Water, the emotion, is turning into fire, and the dreaming that we've been doing is turning into doing. This is asking us to act. So reflection, like we've been sat thinking, now no, we've got to do, we've got to initiate, we've got to move forward. And we know that the sun in Aries is really truly an astrological new year. This is when new year begins. We can tell that by looking outside the window. It's beginning, the new year's beginning. The flowers are coming out, the trees are starting to bud. And Aries asks us to come into this new year, this new life, this new beginning for you with lots of courage, using your instincts, feeling your own directive function or leadership, and moving forward. So defining yourself, saying, this is the way I'm going because I'm not doing what I did behind me. So who are you now? If this is the new year, think about the whole of winter that we've just been through. If we're in that new energy now, it's who are you now? What will you choose? How are you walking forward? And what are you ready to begin? And this has been me teaching becoming the archetype, because if you have a certain archetype in mind, a certain energy you want to go forward in, you need to embody that now and know what that asks of you. I'll drop the link in below about becoming the archetype, because if you haven't done that, I think it's really key work to coming forward into really defining who you are. I don't mean giving yourself 5 minutes and saying, yeah, I've got to be a stronger person this year. I mean really spending the time on understanding who you are as a woman, because the more time you give that, the more ammunition you've got forward to walk the path. So this would be like a week's work, maybe a month's musing on, not just 5 minutes. How much time are you really giving yourself to really determine and decipher who you are and who you're moving forward in? The equinox is the crossing point where the soul stops circling and it actually begins to move, and you're moving now. So the next part of this is the sun approaching Saturn. This is really a once in a lifetime happening, where Saturn and Neptune is bringing us at this point in our collective a vision meets reality. So what does Saturn represent? Saturn is the all-powerful structure, responsibility, maturity, consequence, truth, and discipline. So feel those words: structure, responsibility, maturity, consequence, truth, and discipline. That's very much the initiation of Persephone from the underworld. She has to have more responsibility. She has to have maturity, because she's been the maiden for too bloody long. And she needs truth and discipline to be able to come up and change her world from being different to what it was before she was abducted. Neptune represents more of that dreamy energy. It's intuition, it's longing, it's vision, it's illusion, it's spiritual imagination. So imagine these two meeting, where you've got this dreamy, intuitive, longing, visionary field meeting this structure, responsibility, maturity, and consequence. It's very powerful. So the sun that moves between these two is really trying to identify your truth. What's your truth? What's your vision? What's your reality? What do you wish reality to look like? I don't mean in a fantasy, I'm going to run off with Prince Charming and whatever. I mean rooted in reality right now, about who you are and who you can embody within that archetype. The dream wants to form in you, but it needs to be in truth, not fantasy, no illusion. And it needs to be done with discipline, devotion, and structure. Inspiration now. If you feel inspired, great, but inspiration really now needs structure. You have to structure that to move forward. So yeah, unfortunately, like Persephone, who was like the dreamy little girl wandering around the field having a lovely time, in order for her to embody who she needs to be now, as you do, you need to bring an element of seriousness to what you want, emotional weight, the pressure on yourself to get real, knowing what your spiritual calling is asking of you, and to go with that deeper sense of purpose. Stop hiding behind your excuses. Ask what is illusionary in yourself. All right, I'm in an illusion that one day I'll have this, because it will be an illusion if I don't put structure and discipline and movement. But this is going to take freaking courage. Like, I am on the precipice of a deep move and I am pooping myself. Literally, I am pooping. I am like, oh my goodness, I'm going to give up my home and my land and the comfort. I've got no mortgage here, no rent to pay. It's kind of been this real shell of it's been an initiatory ground, this place for me. And now I've got to go back out in the world in a bigger concept, and everything's at stake, really, truly. And that's taking me a lot of courage. I'm not fearless. People always say, Colette, you're fearless. I'm not. I have fear. I feel quite scared by all of this, but I know I've got greater courage that I can pluck up to make that transition I need. And believe me, there are so many women that I've worked with and I see who cannot take the courage to make the move. They're scared and they're not willing to sacrifice anything. Persephone had to sacrifice her own maidenhood in order to become more of the mother energy. We always have to sacrifice something. Things aren't free and given, and without suffering, they're not. So it's not asking us to abandon our dream, this energy of Saturn, Neptune, and the sun, but really building the dream properly. What is real in your life? What is a complete fantasy? What are you willing to commit to and devote to? And remember, you're a woman. You are naturally have devotion in you. And then say what you want and how you're actually going to do it. This is your vision for the future, and the vision for your future needs structure. It needs structure. So think about that structure meeting that dreamy, illusionary kind of fantasy field in order to make it real. What is it asking you to do? And then, if that isn't all enough, I can't go without speaking about Venus, because Venus is in the mix, always for me, being led by Venus. But Venus is meeting Chiron. She's meeting the wounded healer. So there's big energy with this meeting. The wounded healer for Venus means meeting the wound within herself that's kept her away from more. So Venus in Aries brings in courage, excuse me, with love, directness, desire, self-worth, the feminine speaking more clearly and more loudly, by the way, and less tolerance for self-abandonment. I'm going to say those again because I know they affect us deeply as women. Venus in Aries brings courage in love, directedness, going in a direction, knowing it, going it, desire. What do I desire? You've got to activate your sacred sexuality for that, to feel the desire in your body. If you're missing desire, connect to the sacred sexuality. Self-worth, the same. And the feminine speaking more clearly. This is the whole energy around, which is why I'm relaunching the sacred sexual teachings. I've got a free masterclass coming up that I'll leave the date for. But this is Venus energy. This is us coming out of our wounds. And we've got an astrological energy that's really helping us do that. When Venus meets the wounded healer, it will help us bring some healing around love and worth, what our worth is, how we value ourselves, how we love ourselves and others. And it will also bring old relational wounds to the surface. I just want to say, like, this has been quite big for me in realizing the relational wounds that I have held. When we are single for a long time, maybe something's blocking us. Even the, oh, I don't want to date or whatever. There can be something there that's blocking love, because we all want love. We all want love. So this brings healing around your love and your worth and old relational wounds. What's keeping you out of relating? What is it? What needs to be healed? If you just come out relating or it's been a long time, what are the wounds there that still need to be healed? This isn't about other people. It's about you healing them inside. Whatever happens, whether you meet someone or you don't, is irrelevant. It's about you knowing what those relational wounds were and healing them for you so that they don't live as a scar inside you. Pain around us as women, particularly wanting too much, needing too much, being too much, asking too clearly, expressing desire openly. And I've really felt that this week. I was expressing with someone and it just wasn't heard or met or seen. And I felt too much, like I'm being too much, I'm being too whatever. This is an old fucking wound, excuse my French, about women and the woundedness in us. And what Venus is doing as it meets this, and I'm really passionate about this for women, is that we can't want too much. We want what our heart wants. That's love. I want this and I'm worthy of this. I am not too much. All of these old stories around this wound are shrinking us, are making us shrivel up as women. We shouldn't shrink to be loved. Love expands us, love grows us, and we are all deserving of that. We, might soften truth to stay connected. How many of you have like tried to shave off a story or be kind or wrap it up in a glittery bow so that you didn't lose connection with that person? We all do this too, don't we? This is just like a big collective feminine wound. Making yourself acceptable, being nice, being accepted. Again, shriveling up can't be too much. And then abandoning desire, your sexual desire, because sexual desire is life force. It's a life force energy. Abandoning that sexual life force to preserve belonging. You stay with yourself or you'll abandon it and allow someone else to have it. This is all key. The Venus energy, the sexual, beautiful, loving, pouring energy that lives within you is first of all poured and rubbed all over you first. And so this energy with the wounded healer is really asking you to close those wounds, and you can only close the wounds when you heal them. So know what needs healing in you at this point. Where do you still feel betrayed or let down, or where do you hold on to that bitterness or resentfulness about past related? Where is heartache and heartbreak still alive in your field? And heal it, because you're worth it. You're really worth it. If you're shut down to your sexual life force energy, find a way to do it. That's why I'm doing the free activation. I'll do the free activation. I'll really try and gift that to women to come into that energy, to know what that feels like. And again, there are plenty of tools and resources out there for you to do some deep work around it. And I want to say this here because it's really big about women being devotional. Healing wounds isn't a week or a little course. Healing wounds takes deep work. That's why I run 13-month courses. And even then, we kind of get in and we need more time. Think about the level of commitment and devotion that you're giving to yourself. How long are you spending in practice? How long are you working on meditation or somatic things or in questioning your psyche? How long do you really give that? Because that will be the amount that you heal. And I know when I question this with women that they say, I'm just not putting the time in. Well, then the wounds drag on and on and on. So the wounds that are wanting to close need time and devotion. Are you willing to give yourself it first and foremost? You don't heal this by wanting less. That's not in the equation. You've got to want more or want more for yourself. You honor your desire. You've got to honor desire in your body. You've got to awaken the sacred sexual self. You've got to get that eros, that libido, that energy moving through the body. And this needs you recognizing your needs as, how do I want to put this? Yeah, your needs are sacred information. They're sacred information. What you need. What do you need? I know when I work with women, I can get they'll be shut down, and then they'll say, no, actually, I'm trying to find a relationship, but what I just need is intimacy. That we're always kind of trying to share what we want and dilute it or make it sound better or what's deemed as appropriate by society. So only by doing deep work can you really get to the places where the imprints are and where you've been dumbing yourself down to fit into whatever your parents' desires for you, your partner's want of you, your children's vision of you, society's judgment of you, the local community thinking you're a witch or whatever it is. You've got to recognize that what your needs are first and foremost, and you have to get into a deep sacred container to do that, to blur out the noise of everything that's trying to imprint itself on you. So I'm going to ask you some questions here, and you can write these down to look at them later. But where have you made yourself smaller in love? Or for love? For the love of a parent, for the love of a friend, for the love of whoever? Where have you made yourself smaller? Where have I treated desire like a problem? And where am I ready to speak more clearly? And if you wish to, you could write underneath in the comments anything that's coming up for you there, anything that you will share with each other. I know I love seeing people comment and a little talk going on between you about what you're feeling, and often we recognize it in other women. So I want to move on, which is just so slick, the movement from this Venus and the wounded healer to Moon in Taurus, because the Moon and Taurus are deeply affiliated and Taurian and deeply connected to the Moon. The Moon is somewhere that Taurus is exalted in. And really in this Moon in Taurus, it's about grounding the nervous system and being in your body. We've had so much fire, so much fog, so much mental activity, so much going on, that what we need to do, and I'm really having to tell myself this, is slow down, breathe, eat, rest, come back to the body. So have a feel if that's not, some of us, we're all different. Some of us take ages to get going. I'm one that's going all the time, and I need to remind myself of this. Otherwise, yeah, I keep getting colds because my body's screaming at me to just nurture and take care. This Taurus energy is asking us to regulate ourselves. How do we regulate? I love the conversation in the group about how you regulate yourselves. Embodiment, being in your body. What can you do so you can feel your body? Applying some patience to your situation, to what's going on for you in life. Making things more simple and returning to what is real. I think what we all try to do, Taurians are really good at the body stuff, but what the majority of us do is we try to process things through the mind. And Taurus is about processing things through the body. Slowness, sensory grounding, patience, body presence is really key to going through this. So, for example, last night I took a deep bath. I then played some healing frequencies in my bedroom. I lit the candles. I oiled my body. I touched all my body parts, getting myself in my body, warm oil. And then just came into the healing sounds, being in a deep breathing body presence. I kept moving my toes and my ankles and just feeling my body. This is a practice that's really good for embodiment. It's also really, really nurturing us. So make sure you spend some time to do that, because the deeper processes are alchemical and in the body, not all in here. If you're going all in here, you'll probably end up in more loops and exhaustion than if you ground it all in the body. So I want to close this week. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's big, isn't it? It's a lot. It's a lot to work with. But I want to close this week by just bringing it all down into kind of an integrative summary. So Pisces has been showing us the patterns that we have been in. Number one, know your patterns. What patterns are you dealing with right now about yourself? Write them down. Number two, Rahu tests discernment. Are you being discerning? Are you using intuition? Are you being led by a narrative? Number three, Aries is asking you for courage. To make the change that you need means that you need to sacrifice and feel uncomfortable. Saturn asks you to take responsibility, to put it in a structure, to apply discipline. Neptune is asking you for the vision. What is your vision? Remember, Saturn will structure it all for you. And then Venus with the wounded healer is asking you to heal your inner relational wounds. And the Taurus reminds us to ground it all in the body. So this week, all these big energies are going to ask you to feel instead of numb out, discern instead of react, choosing things instead of drifting, honoring your desire and working with that sacred sexual element of yourself, and then building what is true rather than living in a fantasy. So there it is. That's this week's little forecast. So I will put the summary of what I've just written down, Pisces showing the pattern, all of that. I'll write it under this video so you've got those bullet points that might help you really work with this week's energy. And as I say, you don't need to do it all. You can just do parts of this. But what's important is what you do, you will see benefits from that. And this is the time of great change. And I know that I'm sick of some of the patterns and I'm sick of living in some of the ways I've been living. I've got to change it. I've got to. Change is needed. And I'm scared of that. So I've got to pluck up the courage. And so I leave it there with you all in that I wish you great courage as you move through this. Find like minds, find a group to work with. It really, really helps, and it really does deepen your transformation and the process and helps true transformation happen. So all the links to the up and coming courses, the Sacred Sexuality course and the free live course will be written underneath here. And I'll also give you a link to my blog, which is my website, www.templedelarose.com/blog. And I will be writing about Persephone. That should land this afternoon. So wishing you all a very sacred, courageous week. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.